Hi guys, Sable Rock Modding here. I've always wanted to convert my savanna grass that I played with in FS22, here it is, to FS25. And I thought at the same time, let me make a video of how to add a crop. In this case a single crop. We'll do the savanna, but the process is the same for multi-crops. So if you ever considered adding the multi-fruit prefab, this applies very much to that process, although it's a single crop. So let's see how we're going to do it. Okay, let's proceed then. What do we need? I've already made a clone map of the river bend map in the base game, and I called it my US map. So let's go through the files one by one that you need in order to add a new crop of fruit to your map. So the very first one I always do is the map fill types. Now if you have a map fill types already in your mod map, you need to add the new fruits to it. So for example, if we look at the multi-fruit prefab, they have a fill types which contains all their new fruits. You can see here rye, triticale, spelt. That's all defined in their fill types file. Now if you don't have a fill types file in your mod map, you can copy this file as is to your mod map. But if you have a fill types file already, you need to copy all of these new fruits manually, like this. You need to copy all of this manually. Control copy that and then move it into your map fill types file. And then the same with the fill type categories. Make sure that you copy all these fruits manually over to your fill types file. And the same at the bottom here with the fill type sounds. Copy all of these things to the appropriate places in your fill types file. Again, if you don't have a fill types file, copy this file from the fruit pack. Okay, that's the first file. So in my fill types file, I've then manually added savanna grass. This is now the grass from FS22 that I converted. And with grass or a mowable crop, you will always need a windrow version of it, and you will need a dry grass version of it. That is the one that you're going to make the bales from. And as you know, that these you make the silage from. Silage. I don't know how you guys express it. Okay, that is fill types. I hope that is clear. Let me just go down to the bottom. I've got quite a bit of new fill types here, but just to show you again, in the fill type categories, you need to add the new fruits that you're adding to your map to the respective fill type categories where it belongs. If you're not sure where it belongs, just open the base game fill type file and you will see to which category your fruit belongs. For example, if it's something like wheat, or let's call it a grain crop, wheat or maize, you will see that there are other categories here where you should add that to. Just make sure that you add wherever your fill type belongs. Mine is a mowable fill type, like grass, and you're going to tether it, you're going to windrow it, and then bale it. All of those, that type of fill types belong in specific categories, as you can see here. Here I've also made peanuts, but I'm not going to show that today. And then again at the bottom, I've added my grass to the sounds, the fill type sound where it belongs. Okay, so that is the map fill types XML. I hope that is clear. We'll close these files then. The next file you're going to need is the fruit types, the map fruit types file. Again, if you don't have a maps fruit types file, copy this file directly from the multi-fruit pack prefab. Okay, but if you do have one, you need to open it up and add your new fruit types XMLs manually in here. In other words, if you go here and you open the prefab fruit types, you need to manually copy this and add it to your mod map fruit types here. Okay, and make sure then, if you need to go that way again, that you add all the necessary things, fruit type categories, not from there, from here. You add these fruit type categories into your existing fruit type file, XML file. Here, you would add it in here. And then the same, if need be, if there are converters involved, for example, here they convert silage maize to chaff. Here there's a converter for mower, there's field grass, and it converts to these various field types. Make sure you copy it over to your map fruit types file over here. As you can see, for forage harvester, I've added my savanna grass here to convert from savanna grass to savanna grass windrow when there's a forage harvester involved. When there's a mower involved, I've added savanna grass to convert to savanna grass windrow after you've mowed it. Okay, I hope that's pretty clear. That would be then your map fruit types XML. And again, your fruit types goes here at the top, where it's the actual XML file that contains all the definitions for this fruit type. Okay, that's fruit types XML. The next one you're going to need to create is the map density types. Again, if you have one already, you need to add from the prefab, you add these density types from here up to here. You simply add it to your density map heights XML. If you don't have one, again, simply copy this whole file into your maps folder there. Okay. If we go back to the map densities, if you look at my modded one, I've added savanna grass in here with the windrow. I've added the dry windrow, and I've got some other mod fill types in here, custom fill types, which we're not going to discuss now. And one thing you should note, that you don't include the base map fruits in here. We don't put it in the fill types file, and you don't repeat it in the fruit types file. If I can just open this again, there's no base map fruits in here. You don't need to add those. I've seen maps where they're always repeated. It's not necessary, because the base game will always load your $data files first, which includes the base game fruits. Okay, so that's the density map heights. Let's have a look at bales. Now, in the prefab pack, there is no fruit here under foliage. None of these looks like they are mowable and eventually to be made into bales. Custom fruits which are made, which are mowable and eventually made into bales, for example, is clover and alfalfa, if I remember correctly. So if you copy from another map or another prefab where they have alfalfa included here or clover, you will probably find a folder here called bales. Okay, you need to copy that whole folder to your mod map. Okay, because inside this bales XML you have to create custom bale XML files for your new fruit type, or for the fruit type from the prefab. if it's applicable that it's going to be mowed and eventually made into bales, then you need to make these custom files. Now let's have a quick look at one of them. In maps, map US bales, round bales, so that you can see what you need to add in there. Okay, bales, round bales, 125, and all that you need to put in here, depending on the fruit type and who developed it, but for my Savannah grass, I've only got the XML, no other files. The rest of the files I reference $data files and objects. Okay, so in this specific bale size, it's a round bale, 125 size. All you need to do is add your new fruit types in here. And for a Savannah grass, you need the windrow one and you need the dry grass one, because the one that you know is for silage and the other one is for dry grass. Okay, and then make sure that here in the fill types part you add your Savannah grass windrow for this fermenting part. Then you can make silage of it, and again make sure that you add the dry grass windrow for normal bales. Okay, I hope this is clear what you have to do with bales. So for example, if you have clover, you would have clover windrow here and probably dry clover windrow here. I haven't looked at mod maps with clover, but I suspect that's pretty much the case. And then you would have clover windrow here and dry clover windrow. Okay, so that is the case for all these bale files. If you want to look at a square bale, I'll quickly show you a square bale. Let's get out here. It's square bale 240. Again, only the XML, no $data files. Here, pretty much the same. Make sure that in the fill types you add your custom crop in here. Again, for example, alfalfa windrow. You will find it in the map where you're copying it from, or if it's a prefab, you will find it in their bales files. Okay, they will give you a bales folder. You copy it as is. But if you already have a bales folder in your mod map, make sure that you come in here into the squares and the round bales and make sure that you add that specific fruit type that you're looking at to these various bales. Okay, and then as you've seen, you will have a bales XML here in my map US folder where I've got my i3D and the map US XML. Okay, now you probably want to know, how do these files tie up in the map US XML? Well, let's open it and I'll show you. Okay, and we'll go down just a little bit. I've grouped them all together already. You open these tags. If you don't have them, I am not sure. Let's look in the prefab if they supply you with these types of things. There's a map XML. And here we go. Let's not look at the additional files first. Here they are. Okay, they will supply you with the necessary files that you need to copy to your mod map XML. Okay, so in my map US XML, I created these tags with these appropriate paths with their files. Please make very sure about your paths. 98% of errors that you're going to get is because these paths are wrong to wherever you have put your XML files. Okay, if it's bales, you need to refer to the whole bale path. That will be in map bales XML, sorry. But you need to get the paths correct. If you can just quickly go to map bales, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, do you see the paths here? You need to get these paths 100% correct, or you're going to get errors when you load your map. Alright, so that is the map US XML. Again, you need to add all these custom files where appropriate. And with most custom fruits, except the bales, like I've said before, bales are specific fruit types like clover, alfalfa, and your grass types. Okay, but for the rest, you're going to pretty much need all of these. We will get to the motion paths effects just now. This is one of the ones that is confusing a lot of people. And I understand. It is quite a complex path, your subject, your motion path effects. But again, from the prefab, they will give you a motion path effects XML, which you simply then copy to your modmap folder. Mine, I don't put it here in this folder. I've got a specific effects folder where I put it in. I just like to have it there because it's part of effects. Okay, but you can put it directly here. Just make sure in your map XML that you get the path to it correct over here. Just make sure you get the path correct. Then you will not get any errors. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's quickly discuss this effects file in your map US XML. Okay, it is not often that you would need to add this effects XML because it's there for a specific purpose, and it's mostly for root crops. So if you look at the fruit pack prefab, you will not find an effects XML here. Okay, if we go into effects folder, there isn't an XML file called effects XML, and the reason why, you will see that the foliage that you're going to add, all of these crops, they are not root crops. Okay, in my mod map I do have a effects XML file in this folder, and the reason why is that I have peanuts. Okay, peanuts is a root crop. The fruit grows under the ground. Yeah, and here is all the files that I had to create. Well, custom design peanuts to create peanuts in my game. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm saying here. And then that file, I put it in my custom folder called effects. I put effects in here, and if I can just briefly open it up for you, you will see I'm referring here to belt meshes and particles for peanuts. Now, I don't want to go into detail here, but if you design a new root crop, it needs these I3Ds so that the root crop harvester can give you these effects. You've seen that your crop runs up the belts when you harvest it. It's because of this I3D that you have to design. Like you can see here in the folder, it's custom design. You have to actually make it yourself. And the same with the peanut I3D. Okay, it is needed for particles. There are specific texture files in there that the game uses to give you the particle effects of dust and dirt and stuff flying around. Okay, I'm not going to say a lot more about effects XML, but that's what it is there for. Okay, let's move on then. I think I've done all the files in map US XML. We've done the map US effects file just now, and previously we discussed all of these files. Oh, by the way, I don't know what this stands for. Free access area, blah blah blah. Maybe you guys can tell me. I got no idea what that does. Right, that concludes the map XML. We've done the bales, let's get out of there. Now let's go back to my mod map folder. Have a look at the main folder where I keep everything. We discussed everything here. We'll leave tree types for now. Now let's go to HUDs. Okay, and let's look at the prefab. They should have supplied you with HUDs. Otherwise, where would you get the icons from that would go into your menus? Textures maybe? Ah, here we go. Okay, so if you don't have a HUDs folder, just copy this whole folder over to your mod map over here, like I've done. If you do have a HUDs folder, simply copy just these files inside your fruits pack over to your HUDs folder here. Alright, that is my peanuts, and this is my savanna grass, the wet grass you can say, and the dry grass after you've tedded it. That's my icons, and no, don't laugh, okay? Alright, that is the HUDs folder. The bales folder we've done. Let's have a look what I've got in the config folder. Okay, this is not applicable, forget about that one. We'll get to data just now. Let's move on rather directly to the foliage folder. Again, if you're copying from a multi-fruit pack, they would give you a foliage folder. Alright? If you do have a foliage folder already, simply copy all these files over to your foliage folder. If you don't have a foliage folder, simply copy this whole folder and drop it into your mod map here. Okay, as you can see, in mine, I've got lucerne, peanut, and savanna grass. Savanna grass is the one under discussion. That's the one I've converted from FS22. And here it's all its detail files. I'm not going to go into that now. We'll see it in-game a little bit later. And this is a topic for another day. How to convert a fruit from FS22. Okay. And similarly, how to design a brand new fruit for FS25. That's also hopefully a video that I'm going to make, because I am busy with a new crop for FS25. Okay, I hope that clears up the foliage folder for you guys. Right. HUDs we've done. Now let's go to full plains. Again, they must supply you with the full plains folder where the custom crops that you're going to add have some full plains textures here. I notice here they've got no normal files, no height maps, so they're obviously going to refer to $data files for those. No problem with that. Okay, so copy the full plains folder. If you don't have one, put it in here. I already have a full plains folder, and you can just add those fruits here from your prefab. You can just add those into here. Okay, savanna grass, I've made each one of my fruits in a folder of its own. I find it better to work like that than a huge number of full plain files here. Alright, here's my full plains. There's some copies here, like experimenting to get the best result. Don't worry about that now. You do understand what the full plain files are there for. I'm not going to go into that discussion now. Okay, that's full plains. So we've done HUDs, foliage, full plains. Now let's get to effects. Again, from your fruit pack, they should have given you an effects folder. There it is. If you don't have an effects folder in your mod map, copy this one as is. If you do have an effects folder, you copy whatever they give you here. And in this case, they've only got a cutter effects file. Okay, because of these specific crop types, fruit types, they only need a cutter effects. I sincerely hope that works, because usually you're going to need a bit more. For example, if you look at my effects for my savanna grass, here am I in the effects folder, you need all of these for a crop type that is mowable and eventually made into bales. If I go into chopper and chopper effects, there it is. You need to add your fill types in here for chopper effects. I'm not going to go into what type of harvesters are choppers. That's a different discussion, but you simply need to add your fill types in here for harvesters that are appropriate to this fruit type. Now for savanna grass, because it's a mowable crop, you need to add it into the chopper effects. If you don't, you're going to get funny results and or errors in game. Okay. Another tip I can give you, if you're not sure of which effects files you need for your fruit type, you already know when you have that custom fruit type what type it is, if it's a grain type of harvest or a root crop. You can just simply look in the $data folder into each and every effects file where they have similar crops in there. For example, if I go into mower and mower effects file, you would find in the base game, you would find grass here and grass windrow, something like that. Or just windrow, grass windrow in your $data base game file. So you simply come in here and you add your custom crops that you've made into this fill types tag. Okay, and again here. Don't forget to repeat it here. That will take care of your mower effect. So whenever it is ready to harvest and you mow it, this effects file will show bits and pieces flying out of the mower. That's what the effects file is for. Okay. So that is mower. And similarly, again from the prefab, they've only given a cutter effects file. So be it. But I've decided to use my grass because it's quite a complex fruit type. There's a lot of effects files involved. If we look at mixer wagon, let's say you're one of those guys that love to mix your own TMR in a wagon and so on. If you want the ability to add this crop to your mixer wagon, maybe it's clover or alfalfa you're using, make sure you come and add it here to your mixer wagon effects XML. And similarly here, you will see exactly where you need to add this if you simply look at the $data mixer wagon effects XML. But here you can see that savanna grass windrow is associated with this node in the mixer wagon i3D. That's a discussion for another day. But the same thing with dry savanna grass, it is associated with this node in the i3D. So if you have clover, you would simply come in here and do clover, whatever they called it, probably something like this. Okay, you just come and add it here, add it there at the top, and if there is a clover windrow, there should be, you come and add it in here. Okay, I hope that is clear. And so forth. The same with all the other effects files. Again, you need to, when it's a prefab, it's easy, they will give you the effects files. But if you converted the fruit from FS22 and or making your own fruit, you need to identify to which effects file you must add it. I think we've just done mower. Here's another one that people forget. Your pickups. Typically that's in front of the baler, if I remember correctly, where it picks up the fruit from the ground. Same thing, simply come and add it here in the appropriate place. And don't forget here, and then there's another motion path effect at the bottom, which is your pick up out. Not sure what that is. Come and add your fruit type in here, and again in here. Alright, and luckily, as you can see, there are no base game fruit types in here. You don't need to repeat it here. And the fruit type effects refer to base game dollar data effects. It is highly unlikely that you would need to make your own i3D file for this type of effect. I've mentioned before with root crops, there are i3D files that you need to make, like the belt meshes and so on. Right, that's pickup. Tether, that is pretty self-explanatory. You need to come and add your clover or your alfalfa or whatever the case might be in here, and the same over here. Alright, and luckily you don't have to refer to path names in here. It's pretty straightforward, and it uses the dollar data effects file for tether. Right, no problem with tether. And so forth. Okay, I have opened the effects. I did mention earlier that it's mostly for root crops that need particle effects and belt meshes effects. Okay, and once you've changed your map XML, like we discussed earlier, if you had your paths correct, it will pick it up from here. These two particular files you have referenced in your map XML. Now, what is inside motion path effects? Let's have a look. Okay, again, you would come and add all your custom fruit effects files in here. I've just shown you the actual individual effects files within their folders, okay, but you need to make sure of the whole path and come and add them in here. Maps, in my case, it's map US effects, the name of the effect, and eventually the particular XML, and we just had a look at all of them. Okay, again, with a fruit pack, they give you an effects file, and I think their motion path effects was here, and here you can see they've added the custom fruits here. You don't need to repeat these dollar data files. Okay, guys, the game loads these automatically from dollar data when you start your game. Okay, you only need your custom fruits like I've done here. Guys, I hope you get this. Whatever effects files, XML files you've created, appropriate XML files like for your grains, there will be other effect files here. You can easily pick them up from the base game, what they look like, what's inside them, but you need to come and add the whole lot here. Okay, and again, then your mod map will find your effects from the motion path effects XML, okay, which contains the whole lot individually to where you've put them in your mod map folders. Okay, I hope that's clear. So as far as I know, that is now all the effects files. Okay, we've done bales, we haven't done data yet, we're getting to that. That's the last step. We've done effects, we've done full planes, we've done foliage, we've done the huts, we've done the map US XML and what you have to put inside there, and we've done each one of these files, what you have to put inside there, and or simply copy from a fruit pack. Alright, let us proceed. Okay guys, now that you've set up all the files that you need, it is time for the i3D part. Okay, it is not too difficult. It is the same process as an FS22. So take your map i3D, open it in a notepad. Okay. We need to add all the custom crops in here. Right. Usually what I do, I just copy one of these and I start here at the top. First thing you do is change the file ID to some very ridiculously high number. 123, 123, okay? And then this folder is one up from where your map i3D is. Okay, here it is, foliage, and it will find it in here if you have the path correct. Foliage, carrot, and I don't want that. Mine is called, and here you must make sure that the name corresponds to whatever you have in here. It is called Savannah grass. Okay, and while we're in here guys, the reason why I developed this, look at this yield that I get out of Savannah grass. And that is not nonsense, because I farmed with this stuff for 21 years, and 1 year with record rain I measured this grass growing over my head 2 meters tall. Okay, so put that in here, Savannah grass, and the XML is Savannah grass. Make sure that you've got these paths correct. Savannah grass, there, foliage, Savannah grass, and Savannah grass XML. Okay, now you're halfway done with the i3D, and usually from here I say Control F, find wheat for example. And I'm just going to drag it past all these files. You can scan for foliage multi-layer if you want. Search for that immediately. Okay. Now guys, let's discuss these channels quickly. The base game has got exactly 30 fruits if I'm not mistaken. I made a little summary here. So the base game has got 30 foliage types, and according to these definitions, from foliage type 1 to 30, you need 10 num channels and 5 num type index channels, okay, which is here in your map i3D. There's the num channels and the num type index channels. Okay, that's base game. So you can add exactly one more, which is what I'm doing. Thus you can add one more to the base channels. Okay, so for me that will remain unchanged. Now if you add from a multi-fruit pack, if you go over the 31, from 32 to 63, you need to change these channels to what these values are respectively. Num channels to 11 and the index channels to 6. If forbid, oh my goodness, you ever go from 64 fruits upwards, then you need to change the channels as indicated here. But in my case, I'm leaving them alone. From the fruit pack, you will need to change these two values. Okay. Right, now that we're here, I'm paging down to the bottom here. I'm going to repeat this line. And I think I've still got Savannah in the clipboard. Yeah, Savannah grass. Now remember that ID number 123 123. So for the other custom fruits that you add, make sure that you allocate a unique number to them. So the next one might be an 8 over here. Make sure that it corresponds to the number you had at the top. Right, and that is all that you do in the i3D. No, that's not quite correct. There is a last part, and that is your your fruit layer, your density map for fruits. Okay, what you need to do here is to change it into a PNG. Yes, PNG. Okay, remember I said earlier we'll get to the data folder. Well, now's the time. So go into your data folder, and here's your fruits GDM. So simply rename it, don't delete it, just rename it to old. Okay. Well, before you do that, sorry. You need to use the GRLE converter. So copy this. I forgot about that, sorry. And hopefully you have a GRLE converter. You can find it on Giant's website, and simply paste it in here. Okay, now it's converted it to a PNG there, as you can see. Okay, if you go back to the data folder, well, I don't know where it throws mine out to. Let me just go back to the desktop, but I think it's in this folder here. Yeah, there it is. I must change that one day, but it doesn't matter now. There it is. So what you do is copy it from there into the map data folder, paste it in here. Alright, there it is. And now we've already changed the i3D to refer to the PNG files. This is so that the editor can regenerate a GDM for you based a density map based on your new custom fruits. Right, let's update this, save that. Okay, let us proceed. Okay guys, now is it the last step? I don't know, maybe. You've done the i3D in Notepad. Now we need to open it in the editor. I've got the latest editor here, and this takes a while. I don't have a bad machine. It's a 480S graphics card and an i9 CPU, but this is the response I get. Okay, and usually I open this performance monitor to see what is going on. It's still reading. Power consumption very high. I don't care about that. Here I can see it's still reading. And I think we're okay now to go into the map. Okay. Alright, now that new fruit should have been added here. If we go up here, you can just check here where it is. Oh, forget about these errors. I don't know why it's here. Maybe you guys get it as well. But the important thing you need to look for is all your custom fruits here. If you don't see this line for each and every custom fruit, then whatever you did in Notepad did not work. You made a slight boo-boo somewhere, okay? But there I can see it is. It added the grass savanna i3D to the map. And from here on you simply save it, and that will regenerate all the necessary GDM files, including that PNG. It will now turn it into a GDM file, and then we can get rid of that PNG file. Okay, on save, it's been done. Let's go out of here, have a look at data. I really hope it's here. Here it is, fruits GDM. Okay, so you can delete the PNG file, delete it, go back into your Notepad, and here you can get rid of the PNG and change it into GDM that has been generated so kindly for us just now, and make sure you save it. Okay, now let's close the map i3D and close all of this stuff. We have discussed all of it, and we'll proceed with the last step to check what's going on in game. Okay guys, a couple of minutes later, I've started up my save game, Here we are in a field of pretty wheat. Now I'm going to use a console command. Well, before we do that, when you loaded your map, just go through here and check if you had any errors, especially the red errors. Those yellow ones we can ignore. It's got nothing to do with my savanna grass. There's some problems there with the peanuts I'm not finished with. There's a peanut belt mesh folder missing or i3D missing. Don't worry about it. That's grass distance. I don't know where that's coming from. It's not my savanna grass. Like I said, 99% of errors you're going to get here will be path errors. That you made a typing mistake somewhere or another boo-boo. Okay, and that's where the maps or the vehicle started loading. So, no errors for savanna grass. Well done. I'm relieved. Okay, let's just get to the bottom again. I don't know how to get to the bottom quickly. Now I'm going to use this command to set this field to savanna grass, not wheat. Okay, that'll pop up with this little pop-up menu here on the side, where you can then choose savanna grass, and we want harvest ready, and wheat please invisible. Leave the rest as is and X to apply it. Woo, there we are. Well, there's my savanna grass. It doesn't look too bad. Maybe it needs a bit of work. Look how high it grows in comparison to this vehicle. Yeah, it's good stuff, eh guys? Yeah. So here's my savanna grass in game. It worked. Okay, by the way, that command that I just used, if I go back to my desktop, you need to run Farming Simulator with cheats to get that working. If you go into properties, all you need to do is here at the end, just add a dash cheats, like you see here, dash cheats on the target, on the startup of Farming Simulator EXE. Dash cheats, exactly like there. Okay. Let's go back in game and see if we can mow this stuff. Alright, now this is where the effects comes in, yeah? If you didn't do the mower effects properly, you will probably see some kind of error on the console here. Red errors. Stop bumping around, guys, get going. Let me just do this myself, you know. You know, I don't even play the game anymore. What is it? Turn on mower. Lower mower. Oh, we're not quite there yet. Alright, I've just engaged the AI. Oh, yeah, smacking again in there. I'm wasting time here, guys. Sorry for this. Lower the mower. Turn it on. Why is it doing this? Oh, hang on. So I don't even play the game anymore. Lower the mower. There you go. Sorry about this guy. There you go. And now, is the front one mowing? No, it's not. Turn it on. There we go. And it's still not mowing. Ah, there it is. It's mowing. The front one is now mowing. But I can see there's something wrong with these windrow textures and effects of mine. It's not supposed to give you the tethered version and the wet cut version like this. Let's just go back to oh no, there it is. It's mowing. Okay, this is better. Sorry, I had a previous mode, but as you can see, it's mowing. Okay, it's mowing, so you've got no errors on mowing effects. Because my yield is 3 times base game, this is the type of amount of mowed grass you can see on the ground. Right, let's see if the tether works. Again, if your tether XML, the effects for tether XML is not in place, you're going to get errors here. Okay, let's just turn on the tether, switch the console on. No errors there, guys. Okay, and there it's tethering the wet grass into dry grass. Okay, so that's working. Just have a look at my textures. It's not too brilliant. I'm still working on it. Please don't comment on this. Well, you can, I don't care. And there's my dry grass textures. It's not brilliant. It's quite difficult to design these textures, I might tell you. Okay, let's try the windrow guy. Again, there is a windrower XML for its effects. If you haven't done that properly, you are going to get an error message when you windrow. Okay, let's lower it, let's switch it on, and here we go. Let's just switch the console on. There's no errors, and as you can see here, you have some windrow effects there. You see the bits flying around, and it's making your windrow for you. Okay, now chuck some grass in there. This hasn't been tethered. Okay, you can make silage of this. Silage, yeah. Alright, that's the windrow. Now, last thing I'm going to test is the baler again. I showed you the bale XML, and within the bale XML, all the specific bale types that you would like to bale from your root crop. Whatever it is, clover, alfalfa, or in my case, savanna grass. Well, with this grass, I'm going to make 3 times the amount of bales. Lower pickup. Let's just turn it on from here. You should see the counter immediately start moving as you're on my right. Then you got no problems. And again, console, no errors. Then your bales are working properly. Yeah? I've just done that little bit now because I don't want to spend too much time on this. Let's see if I can unload. What is unload here? It's Y. Alright? Let's just hop to the back. But this grass is tall. And you should see, yeah, you look at it at the right, African savanna grass dry. Okay. Now, wherever you need this in a production or a feed plant or a feed mixer, you would need to add that full type in there. Guys, I had fun. If I helped one person, that's enough for me. We'll talk soon again.